Hi, this is our bilingual classroom observation by Sydney and Julia.
So we did our observation at King Elementary, which is in the Santa Ana Unified School District, and we were in a second grade dual language program classroom. And so we've just included here the picture of the Santa Ana Unified School District seal, and then we also included the seal of biliteracy, which is a medallion that students get after their high school graduation when they've completed the entire dual language program from elementary school through 12th grade.
For this slide, we talked about how language is used in the classroom. Instruction at the second grade level in the dual language program is given 90% in Spanish and 10% in English. And the teacher we observed talked to us about how it starts off very heavily Spanish, and then as the kids get older, it goes down to 80-20, and then eventually, she said in fifth grade, they'll do 60-40. And most of the posters in the classroom were in Spanish, and so you could see the alphabet chart has words in Spanish for the kids to reference because they mainly use Spanish in the classroom.
And then here we are talking about the languages and the subject areas that are taught in this second grade classroom. So we've included a picture of her planner because after observing from 10:30 to 1:30 on the day that we were there, she was able to give us kind of a weekly spread of what her week looks like. And so if you look closely, you can see that all of the subjects except for ELD and PE are written in Spanish, whereas ELD and PE, the instruction plans are written in English, which we thought was something interesting to note because while we were there, we observed reading in Spanish and math in Spanish, but then we saw most of ELD, which was in English. And so, like you can see here, all subjects other than ELD are taught in Spanish. So ELD is just 30 minutes per day, and that's their little 10% of English instruction that they receive, whereas everything else will be in Spanish, which is that 90% of instruction that they'll receive.
And then for our parents are involved, this was something that we questioned the teacher about because we were really curious. And she said parents really push for their children to be in the bilingual classroom program because they see all the benefits. And they have to request the dual program and sign a form to sign up and hopefully get their kids enrolled in the bilingual classroom classes. And there's been more demand with each year because the program keeps growing and word gets out to other parents. Students from different districts even come in and they want to be a part of the bilingual classroom program here at this elementary school. However, we did not observe any parent involvement while we were there. There was no parents in the classroom, and we didn't get a chance to discuss whether or not that's a common thing.
And then looking at the demographics of this specific classroom and all of King Elementary School, the teacher did tell us about how many of her students were born in Mexico or Guatemala. And then here we've included the numbers of the dual language classrooms and the regular all English instruction classrooms. So in kindergarten, there are 3 dual language classrooms and 2 regular classrooms. In first grade, there's 2 dual language and 1 regular. Second grade, which we were in, there's 2 dual language and 1 regular. Third grade, there's 2 and 2. Fourth grade, there's also 2 and 2, and fifth grade, there's 1 dual language and 2 regular. So it's pretty even throughout the different grades, but there are different numbers across the board if you look at the whole school. And then here we've included a picture of the corner of her room where she displays the Mexico flag, which we thought was something really cute to note. And something else also to note was that we were talking with her, and there was a student that sits right up with her at the front of the classroom at all times. And so we kind of asked her like why that student works with her, and she explained to us that this was a newcomer student who just recently moved here from Guatemala. And while this is a second grade class, she should actually be in fourth grade for her age level, but she was not in school at all in Guatemala, so she has no academic content knowledge in either English or Spanish. And so she was kind of showing us how she's working with her at a kindergarten and first grade level on a lot of literacy concepts that this student was not receiving when living in Guatemala.
And then for teachers' language practices, the teacher shared with us that as long as her students have their short and long vowel sounds in English, she doesn't heavily stress the need for them to use English in the classroom. She's really confident they'll be successful when building on their current knowledge as they progress in the dual language program. So we included this picture because this was the only section of posters that were in English, because she states that starting in kindergarten, this is when they learn the short and long vowel sounds in English. And then after that, as long as they have it down, they don't really feel the need to revisit it because the continued instruction in Spanish will build off of their prior knowledge.
And then for students' language practices, as you can see, we included 2 samples of students' work. Students seemed to follow the teacher well in Spanish. In the subjects that we saw, they didn't really seem like they were confused or having a hard time. They were all participating heavily and excited to learn the content. And then they would talk to us in English if they asked us why we were there, or we exchanged some conversations with them. They were talking in basic English with us, but all of their work and homework is completed in Spanish, which you can see here on these 2 samples of their schoolwork.
And then for the arrangement of the classroom, students are either in a straight line facing the teacher and the board, and the rest are in table groups. There's a bench on the farthest side of the classroom that overlooks the playground where students can read comfortably, which we all really liked and thought it was a really cute idea. And then, like we stated before, most posters and signs around the classroom are in English, and very little English is published in the room. And they also had a very small ELD section in the back of the classroom.
And then here we have some of those examples of signs. So as you can see, there's different math concepts and syllable concepts written in Spanish. There's a calendar which does display the word September largely in English, but then it has it also in Spanish next to it. And then same with some question prompting signs are also in Spanish, asking questions like who, what, when, where, and why.
And then for the surrounding community, so the school was located in Santa Ana, California. The population is 334,135. The race ethnicities, there's 76.5% Hispanic or Latino, 11.8% Asian alone, and 10% white alone. And 72.7% of people in Santa Ana are U.S. citizens. The median household income is $65,665, and the median property value is $494,700, and the poverty rate is 19.5%.
And then here we just have our references, which includes the website that we got the Santa Ana demographics from. Thank you.